Underdogs. They're people you want to root for. They are the newbies, the rising stars, and their stories make you want to root for them in the end. And fighting isn't a stranger to these stories. In Crossroads Central Rival Revolt, Yuri Coalition was the underdog team to beat as they clawed their way through the playoffs, only to play the best game of their lives against Nightmare to barely lose in third place. I thought this was the best underdog run of all time when it came to competitive fighting, and the next tournament that would come won't come close to it. Months later, we would get the Seal Survival Tournament, with more teams and a bigger prize pool than ever. A lot of new teams showed up that seemed like crazy underdogs and would make deep runs. But there was one team people doubted even in this context, and that team would prove almost everyone wrong and would make the best underdog run that we will ever get in competitive fighting history. Whatever you think they deserve it or not can be up for you to decide, but there is no question that A-Gang's run in the Seal Survival Tournament is nothing short of excellence. This is the story of A-Gang's journey in Seal Survival. Before I actually get into the run itself, let me give you the basic background info of A-Gang. A-Gang was a team started by Serene Desires, also known as Myth, who is one of the best Hyper Laser players. He started it because he was in Yuri Coalition for a brief period before wanting to start his own team, and boom, A-Gang was born. He also suggested the name for Yuri Coalition, so that's a neat lore for another team I could cover. A-Gang's original roster was kind of just like Myth and his friends in one team, which included a lot of players that were honestly just fine at the game. It is similar to those random teams that pop up and last for like 3 months or so. And trust me, finding footage of his A-Gang was genuinely difficult, and the best result I could find was from almost a year ago. I wonder who is casting this match.
Hyper ulting, make it ulting.
Oh, Ribs needs to do is get that.
Is he gonna do it?
Is Katana gonna get ulted for the 5th time? No. No.
Nice
No!
shot.
Oh!
1!
Nice
Oh!
2!
Nice
Oh!
Hey! And Katana gets ulted for the 5th time in a row!
Oh my god, lovely.
They unfortunately lost the match, but it did show that they were a team that could put up good fights. And while most of the main roster would lose motivation, Myth wouldn't let the team just die. In between the months following That's Grim and the Seal Survival Tournament, A-Gang was one of those gatekeeper yet inactive teams where they were good enough to beat some teams, but they just weren't able to beat any big teams in their way. It was in the same vein as a team like Star Splitters at the time. A good but not great team. However, after the crazy Rival Revolt tournament in CRC would announce another tournament right after called the Seal Survival Tournament. This tournament would have 12 teams and the top 4 teams of the previous event in attendance for a long yet crazy tournament ride. The tournament would be separated into 4 stages on a first come first served basis. There are a lot of rules and lots of clarifications over time, but that's too much jargon to go over, so yeah. In the first stage, 12 teams would fight in a round robin styled bracket in 4 groups of 3. They would all fight each other, and the worst performing team in each group would be eliminated while the other teams move on to the qualifiers. The qualifiers saw all 8 teams fighting in a tournament style bracket to try and get into the main Swiss stage of the brackets. Only 4 of the teams, 2 from winners and 2 from losers, can make it to the Swiss stage to fight the previous top 4 teams from Rival Revolt, so space was limited. This tournament was stacked with some old names and some new rising stars. Star Splitters and a registered with 2 fractured bones are back for their run back, but the main teams people were looking out for were the Underdogs, and there was a lot in contention. Stardust had an insane roster of notable players and an unknown superstar. Cat was a team that was popping off recently in scrims. Atmosphere was rather new, yet they would be taking names, and other teams got the spotlight over A-Gang. A-Gang just seemed like one of those teams that wouldn't really make it past qualifiers at best, so it seemed inevitable for them in some cases. However, A-Gang got a wild roster switch up. Most of the members kinda lost interest, so Myth got some people up and ready to play. He kept his friend Bongo in because they were still motivated, but then got in Buggy, who was a solid tank player that posted in the CRC looking for team channel, Controllers, who was a great support and flex player known for hosting the first ever recorded Helen Keller scrim. Yes, this existed.
Oh!
God, this video is already a year old. And somehow, by the gods of this green earth, Myth somehow got in Skyjax. For those who don't know, Skyjax is like an OG skateboard main, and Myth somehow got this guy out of retirement in DM somehow. He also went from a skateboard one trick to a flex player who mainly played skateboard, so it's a little confusing, but you get it, I guess. So yeah, Myth made a new and improved A gang ready for the tournament, but they never had eyes on them, so we just gotta see what happens. Right off the bat though, A gang gets a lucky start in the round robin stage. The goal wasn't to really win this stage, it was to not be the worst in this stage. They got in Group A, which housed Hydrogen Bomb, Overclock, and Coughing Baby Thunderous. This was huge for A gang as Groups B and C looked absolutely horrifying to be in, and A gang wouldn't even need to play a game to get into the qualifiers. In now lost footage of Thunderous vs Overclock, the actual recording barely lasted 20 minutes and Thunderous would immediately disband and forfeit, allowing A gang and Overclock to immediately proceed. However, to decide the seeding for qualifiers, Overclock and A gang still needed to fight despite both of them passing. Overclock was a fundamentally crazy team, housing unique picks and unique players that can make unpredictable comps and can most likely destroy teams with their power of unpredictability and brute force. And A gang really stood no chance to most people, especially since they needed to sub out Buggy for their tank substitute Moo Moo, who was a controller player. And honestly, this match wasn't close.
And it looks like it's
Overclock
gonna be game
2-1.
for Overclock.
Overclock takes Lark really low.
The Coffin does do the kill of the sword. Hyperalt
Well,
does miss.
misses.
No
With
overtime.
overtime.
Okay,
Overclock counting down 5, 4,
4,
3.
3, 2, 1.
They
And that's
take it.
3-0.
Even with Overclock also needing a sub, A gang wouldn't hold up a fight, but it was never enough. They get 3-0'd. But don't worry, they made it to the qualifier safely, while the other groups were having massive destruction in them. Moving on to the qualifier rounds, A gang had to face up against fellow underdog contenders, Cat Cannon. Cat Cannon had a roster filled with amazing talent, a mix of new and old, and a team that was definitely the favorite going into their match. They also caused an insane upset in Group B, outperforming all the competition there. A gang would need 2 subs for this match, pulling out Senbon and rising star player Uncrustables. In other words, a tank player and a shuriken. And I hate to spoil the match for you, but it was a bloodbath. They forced OT Game 1 for immediately losing to a 40-point lead, and in Game 2 on Teapots, they didn't get an OT and lost by about 30 points. It was looking dire for A gang once more, which is why they revealed their gamble of picking Ban and Annihilate, and causing one of the worst games you will ever want to watch in a tournament.
Divine Resurrection with the overhealth guys.
Wow, so
I-
amazing. We're 2 minutes in and it's 1-3.
It's 1-3. I'm having flashbacks. Ban ever does. Thank God, Ban ever goes down.
A gang played predominantly bunker style on this match, and it actually paid off for them to barely take a game in the most boring way possible. The worst part is, they had to win 2 more games. This is assuming they win an extra game.
Here's the Rocket Barrage.
Yeah.
Here comes the Red
Fight
Coffin.
is being pocketed by Yumu though. Cat Cannon
A-Gang.
has
I
points.
don't even think A-Gang can come back in time and no
No
overtime.
OT.
So yeah, that match kinda soured A gang for some people, but they were sent in the lower bracket where 1 more game loss would end their tournament run right then and there. And it was looking dire since they needed to fight one of the new talent teams, Stardust. Stardust had players who were aces in their picks and a random player named ABC. They also spent Group C in the last stage, which was the most scary looking group of the bunch. This seemed absolutely hopeless for A gang now, as a superior looking team with tons of potential was amped up. But A gang had a plan. You see, prior to this match, Stardust had to fight O-Block Warriors, which seemed like a solid match. However, O-Block Warriors was able to actually 3-0 Stardust in their bracket by running a core known as Banana. In simplest terms, Banana is the combination of Katana and Banhammer, which runs 2 tanks to outbrawl teams on a conquer point and fish for matchup wins by killing teams without reliable tank busting or people who are clueless into this core. This seems off because Stardust has a good Scythe player and the best Rocket player, but Banana was a ton of trouble for Stardust, especially when O-Block Warriors had a great Sling and Biograph to dive the Busters. And even when Stardust tried to counterplay it, it didn't work out. A-Gang looked at that O-Block match and thought to themselves that maybe they could just recreate what O-Block did to Stardust to continue their run. I mean, when you are scared of your opponent, you kinda learn from other people fighting them, and that's exactly what A-Gang did. Now, for this match, and future matches unfortunately, Bongo would step out of the main roster permanently, and in their place, we would get Austin, who was a underrated flex player who actually played for a Calcium Deficient in the first stage, but the team was eliminated there, and I assume the team was disbanded after that, unless something happened, I don't really know. Oh, and they needed another sub for this match over controller, so they got Uncrustables again. Game 1, A-Gang actually didn't use Banana, and were surprisingly putting up a great fight against Stardust to win the game, albeit was very close on a map A-Gang is fairly competent on. A-Gang decided to bring out their own Banana against Stardust for Game 2. And even if the skill discrepancy could happen, there was one thing that was shown in this match. Sometimes the same strategy just works.
Rocket shut down.
Katana on the Banhammer. Oh my god.
Oh my god, ABC just got balled
A-Gang
there.
is holding this so well. But the banner
See another banner. That's one.
still has it.
Down the final
But
standing.
down. For A-Gang, they could take
A-Gang,
another round.
3,
It's a
2,
point.
1.
Oh my god.
And even in Game 2, where they pulled out the double busters with Scythe, the same counterpick strategy just isn't going to work, and A-Gang miraculously keeps the point during overtime. And then Stardust tried to predict that he wouldn't go Banana on Iron Cafe, which A-Gang does go Banana. And even if they put up a fight with the comp they had, they simply couldn't do it.
Holy shit! The Katana rolls! Banez with another ult coming in! 2-1!
What?
Holy bro!
A-Gang takes the match.
3-0.
And even though the games were close, A-Gang would free zip Stardust, and one of the underdogs has unfortunately been taken out. This would also give A-Gang the title of being, quote, the Banana Team, which wasn't a good look because people hated Banana after that match for some reason. I don't know why O-Block Warriors wasn't given that title when they used it 3 matches straight and A-Gang only did it for 2 matches, but whatever, I guess. This was great for A-Gang as they were 1 match away from making it out of the qualifier round and into the Swiss stages. They just needed to fight one last team to make it to the Swiss. Oh, hi, Overclock! After dismantling the big gamble, Overclock got sent to the lower brackets by Atmosphere in a surprising 3-0, and unfortunately for A-Gang, they needed to fight the team that dusted them before. Both teams needed subs, with Overclock having 2 subs and A-Gang technically breaking the rules with having 3 subs because they needed an extra emergency one. In cases of emergencies, 3 subs is fine, but that's still kind of absurd for a match like this. A-Gang got their usual sub-ins with Uncrustables, Senbon, and a new person for the sub bucket being Asuka. For reference, Asuka was on the team Scorched Stars, which was eliminated in the first stage of the tournament too, and when it comes to getting subs from other teams, getting people eliminated from the first stage was perfectly fine, as we saw with Austin from earlier. Overclock got one of the best swords in Koi, and our favorite fighting YouTuber, Foxology himself, yeah! Foxology also played with Scorched Stars, so both teams had a sub-in from the same eliminated team, which I find funny because both of them played the script like their lives were on the line. Like, holy shit, Foxology was paying the rent with this one. He MVP'd every single game. A-Gang would win practice on Bread Factory thanks to Buggy going nuts on Banhammer out of nowhere, Mars on Overclock somehow missing this ban ult here, I don't even know how, and the Crusher, baby, let's go!
The Noxious Void! A-Gang
just
seems to
let
be holding the
up
point
every
in the lead!
Crusher,
Here comes
Crusher.
though. Oh, gets taken for practice and
A-Gang takes it to the Crusher.
practice! Very close, one kill to
Crusher.
4. A-Gang taking practice.
Game 1 was honestly a wipe. A-Gang tried to do the same strategy they did against Cat Cannon until Overclock realized Overtime had double ante points at this time. You can see where this is going. And even when A-Gang was fighting for their lives in Game 2 and 3, it just wasn't enough as Overclock kept on holding the lead and winning.
Slow! And it's jumping! Wait! Oh, has it! Noxious Void! It's jumping! What the fuck is going on?
Noxious Void gets 1!
Wait, Overclock's in the lead! 1! Yes, a judgment! And hit my same! And it Overclock takes game 3 for a win! In a crazy
I just-
close OT.
Despite all of that, A-Gang fell in a clean sweep, getting 3-0'd even with how the Conquer matches went. And A-Gang's tournament run came to a devastating close in the qualifier stage, just as some might have expected. Or it should have had. You see, somewhere during the qualifiers, the best team in the game and previous CRC tournament winner, Nightmare, would kind of just disband and drop out of the tournament. Since that left 3 teams weighing in the Swiss stage, there opened up a last chance slot for one last team to enter the Swiss stage. So the teams eliminated in the last part of the losers bracket would get to fight each other to claim this last open spot. This was the lifeline A-Gang needed desperately, and now they have a one shot at reviving the dream. And the team they had to fight was a team that they could have a shot against: Star Splitters. Star Splitters had a rough time during this entire tournament in general, barely scraping by the round robin, losing to Stardust and winning against Registered. And the qualifiers, they were sent down by Atmosphere only to beat the Big Gamble, where in the next match, they were sent down to the last chance bracket by O-Block Warriors. And it has one of the saddest chokes I ever seen. And thankfully, by the grace of God's green earth, A-Gang will have their full roster to fight the most important match of their life. I'm just kidding, they needed a tank sub for Buggy and Oscar was subbed in for his second time in a row. Star Splitters also needed a sub for their Scythe player, where they got support player Shakira, which was a weird trade, but hey, you gotta work with what you have. This match was incredibly close, however, as game 1 was decided by a last second medkit shutdown thanks to A-Gang's own medkit ult reviving them. And in game 2, Star Splitters should have won this. Oh hello Bread Factory Crusher. And even with a great medal, controllers hit the best medkit Q of her life, and then bang hammer ult, boom, game is done. And just like that, A-Gang completely destroys the momentum of Star Splitters and wins game 3 on Maul in a dominant fashion, getting their spot on the Swiss stage and sending Star Splitters out of the tournament.
Bowling with the crazy 3-0 upset, even though the audience thought Star Splitters was gonna definitely win. A-Gang.
Yeah, I thought they were gonna pull something crazy there.
A-Gang showing that they don't even need Banana to win.
A-Gang finally had some eyes on them after this insane road to the Swiss stage, and now it was time to fight some titans. The Swiss stage worked like this: get 2 wins to move on to the bracket, and if you get 2 losses, you are out. Only 4 teams can make it to the brackets to fight it out in the end. These brackets included the last top teams from the Rival Revo tournament, along with the 5 new teams that made it past the qualifiers. If you win your first match, you have to fight another team that also got to win until 4 teams reach 2 wins while the others reach 2 losses first. It's a bit weird, but you get to understand it pretty easily. A-Gang would unfortunately have to fight the 4th place team from Rival Revolt, Prestigious Pros. Prestigious Pros is known for their unique team compositions, having the best mobile player by a mile, and being an incredibly strong team focused on aggression, synergies, and top tier coordination skills. However, prior to the scrim, A-Gang and Prestigious Pros already had a scrim against each other a month ago. And in the scrim, even though A-Gang had 2 subs, because of course they do, and Prestigious Pros had 1 sub in for their main tank player, Prestigious Pros would barely take it in a very close 4-3 scrim. So this did show A-Gang could win, but who knows, maybe it was because of the subs and PP missing their most important member in the scrim. This was going to be hard for A-Gang, and after the road they were having, it was looking weird. Oh, they needed a sub for Buggy again, so they got Oscar for the 3rd time in a row. Yes, SpongeBob, play for A-Gang. Whether it was the eyes locked onto them or the pressure of making this far, A-Gang would start to snap, and what seemingly came out of nowhere, A-Gang played this game with absolute fire. On Bowling Alley Game 1, A-Gang made the incredibly awkward choice of running Vine Staff into Prestigious Pros. And it worked? Prestigious Pros got screwed by point cap, and then both teams started slugging each other off. However, A-Gang gets a lucky break, being stuck at 89 points, which is 1 point away from breaking the point cap Prestigious Pros is stuck with. This allows A-Gang to regroup safely before 15 seconds and do an all-out rush, where they just won.
Piscato coming in for Banner ult! He gets the fire staff! A-Gang takes round 1! Bro!
Game 2, the Boombox main, Epic Knob, pulls out a sword pick on Maul, but combined with Vine and sub, it was working out for Prestigious Pros. A-Gang kept up the pace though, and 1 Gunnel at 3 seconds gives A-Gang enough time to push overtime. If a combination of a ban ult not being a threshold combined with a medal, A-Gang takes game 2.
Hands down!
Oh my god, the revive!
Coming in! It might be over for BB here.
so
1, Team A-Gang, takes two.
Oh my god.
I never thought I'd be seeing this, yo.
Game 3, SFOF Conquer. It's a map both teams like, and even if Prestigious Pros hit an insane ult synergy pwned, it doesn't matter when they are behind in points and A Gang storms in. However, PP had the lead going into the last seconds, but the ban ult from Top Hat somehow doesn't grab the biograph and also doesn't get the two people grabbed into the threshold in time. And then both of the hyper lasers, Myth and Grim, do a crazy standoff with their ults, except Myth was first on the charge and it completely shattered the game open, and then A Gang goes on an ult rampage.
Good
Yes,
for all
in
the
time!
mech
And A-Gang,
too.
oh my god, medals!
Oh,
medals!
no.
A-Gang,
Can
give them
PP get on point? The
mercy!
Skato Hypo gets another.
I got the high
Gets free!
Oh my god! That's the battle!
They need to get on point.
Might be able to clean sweep! Oh my fucking
A-Gang
god!
3-0'd.
A-Gang getting the crazy upset!
In a shocking turn of events, whether it was mental fortitude or simply outplaying, A Gang would win in a crazy 3-0 against one of the scariest teams, putting them in the 1-0 bracket. In this stage, they would meet the third place team from Rivalry Vault, Yuri Coalition, a team known for its players' individual skill and very unique player list where they basically used bread and butter comps that were very reliable. A Gang would need an emergency sub for Austin as soon as the game started, so they got Asuka on board as a 6th permanent member on the main roster just in case, since Austin was sick at times. So welcome SpongeBob into the story, folks! I'm not going to spend too much time on this scrim because honestly it's a little boring to watch. A Gang would take the first 2 games, including Yuri Coalition's go-to pick of Iron Cafe, but out of nowhere, Yuriko started making a comeback, winning on Maul and somehow winning on the Chaotic Rocket Arena, but I hate to inform you of something. I played like absolute dog-ass Game 5, oh my god. And on SFOF, Yuriko would fail the reversal, and A Gang would win 3-2. In this moment of voiceover now, I congratulate A Gang for winning that match right here. So, there you go.
3-2 against Yuriko.
Hey!
Dude, 23-point lead.
Oh my lord!
Dude.
And somehow by the power of friendship or something, A Gang beat the odds and got their 2 wins and went lossless in this stage of the tournament. For reference, the other team to go lossless was the powerhouse in this tournament, Rat Zone, who would beat Cat Cannon 3-2 and beat Atmosphere 3-0. Now, important info to clear up now. After A Gang won this game against Yuri Coalition, the Festival for Comedy vs. Tragedy would go underway, which would change the tournament forever. Katana Rework would come out and Prestigious Pros, a team that A Gang have beaten, would figure out the meta comp to go banana with tons of dive pressure or supports like Boombox, Subspace, or a healer. This team composition was absolutely horrendous to fight against, and figuring out the meta like this allows them to abuse it, especially up against Yuri Coalition and the 1-to-1 bracket, which knocked him out of the tournament. I want you guys to keep this in mind because banana just became the meta strategy out of nowhere, and people were gonna figure it out quickly. And by figure it out quickly, I mean every team including A Gang would be warped by this meta shift. No, Katana would also shake people's entire team compositions up since Katana went from a tank to some sort of bruiser tank character hybrid, so it was fairly odd. Anyway, with that out of the way, we need to see all of our fallen soldiers. Cat Cannon, being a favorite underdog, would barely lose the reverse sweep against the powerhouse Rat Zone, and in their third fight against Old Block Warriors, they would lose 1-3 and be out of the tournament. Atmosphere would deck Overclock once more in a 3-0 sweep, but would unfortunately get swept by Rat Zone right after in a somewhat undeserved 3-0 because teapots existed, which caused them to surrender from the tournament as they were losing motivation. That left all the underdogs out and only one team people now had eyes on as a true underdog, A Gang. A team that many people didn't even know would make it this far was now taking center stage. In a top 4 filled with big names, the dark horse pick of the entire tournament. I find it nuts that the top 4 teams include 2 top teams, a team of top players merging into one, and then A Gang just standing there. Like, it's so funny to me. Since this was the top 4 teams after the Swiss stage, they would move on to a normal double elimination bracket where they would randomly fight a team assigned to them to start off the bracket. A-Gang would not want to fight Rat Zone as they were statistically the hardest team to fight, and Prestigious Pros figured out the entire meta strategy now, so maybe O-Block Warriors would be the team A-Gang would want to fight here. They got Prestigious Pros. And remember when I said Prestigious Pros figured out the meta? Well, A-Gang decided to run their exact same strategy just with different supporting characters. And in top 4 and having Asuka as a main member, do you think A-Gang will have a full roster? No, they still needed a sub for controllers, so they got the Rising Star Dive player, Radiolite. PP also needed a sub for their boombox, but they got former Nightmare member Coolio for that anyways. Game 1 Laundromat was very close, but Prestigious Pros would end up taking this round only because they initiated an aggressive rush first onto A-Gang at the end, as both were running Banana on Annihilate. You know the meta is wild when we are unleashing double tanks on Annihilate. A-Gang goes Banana with double tank busters on Iron Cafe to try and outbrawl Prestigious Pros, expecting their Banana pick. However, Prestigious Pros makes a beautiful read and goes double tank busters on this game. And even though A-Gang had more possible point presence near the end, PP had their ult set up for OT and wins game 2. And then game 3, A-Gang goes with double tank busters with Sword of all things. Meanwhile, PP goes back to running Banana. Except even when A-Gang had double tank busters to beat the Banana, Prestigious Pros made this meta, and they would show it.
Oh, popping out special vision for Sora with its crazy value. Can A-Gang actually hold it off? Not just void. Judgments coming. Hero gets off, and they can't escape. Wait, it's still going. Judgment coming in. The Pros might be able to hold the point once and for all, and they do hold the point. A-Gang could not escape the banana vortex of doom.
And almost in a game of vengeance, Prestigious Pros wins 3-0 against A-Gang. After this banana fiasco, A-Gang was sent to the losers bracket where they had to fight O-Block Warriors, who lost to Rat Zone. O-Block Warriors is basically the leftovers of two teams that completely imploded on themselves to form a 4-man core, and also got a player named Blaze Nox on board because they needed a 5th. They got to this stage after losing to Yuri Coalition, finally winning against Cat Cannon, and got a free pass because Atmosphere didn't have enough motivation to continue. But before we could cover that scrim, let's cover what was going on the winner's side of things, because guys, the two powerhouse teams are fighting. Prestigious Pros and Rat Zone are fighting. Prestigious Pros versus Rat Zone seemed like a crazy matchup as it was ambiguous who was going to even win this. And even though Rat Zone needed two substitutes for this in the form of Subspace Legend and Tournament Caster Chris Fireflame, and Band Prodigy from Stardust ABC, Prestigious Pros was able to just read the comps Rat Zone would run with double tank busters to win 3-1 against their arch nemesis with one of the wildest Annihilate games I ever seen. Look, I know this is an A-Gang video, but just watch this Annihilate.
Two more from
Dang
PP
it,
and
I
they
think
win.
so.
One more. It's neck
Oh my
and
God,
neck.
it's one more.
It's neck and neck. It's 2020. What is happening?
What the heck?
Oh my god.
And it's an overtime.
What the hell?
HG just needs one.
Cypher coming in for Skadle. Oh, wish.
Oh
I
my
think that was an
gosh.
unfortunate myth.
The
Rocket goes
Cypher!
down. Then you get this. Then you
Oh
get
my
the Scythe.
God.
Scythe goes down. It's neck and neck. Babano coming in.
The judgment.
There's no one up for Katana.
Missed this. The
Good thing you to
leg.
kill for Katana. It's neck and neck
Everyone's
again.
low. Oh my god.
Holy hell. Babayo coming in.
Oh my gosh. And the boom and the rainy tacos.
Oh my god, what is happening? Katana Walk
The
coming in.
tacos like
It's neck and neck again.
What
The recast, the cycle
recast.
onto both people.
Oh my gosh.
Papa is
They
low.
got one.
The Scythe.
This wait.
Razon is up by 2.
Wait.
Gets the kill, they just need 1.
Oh my gosh. They
Razon.
win. Ratson fixes.
Oh my
This is
god.
not-
Anyways, with O-Block Warriors versus A-Gang, I don't think I need to say that A-Gang needed 2 subs for this match. And the sub bin for Austin and controllers, they somehow pulled out Radiolite and Range Flex Keeter somehow. Their sub roster just confuses me more and more when I watch these scrims. A-Gang would be up 2-0, but unfortunately would falter a bit on Fractured Space as O-Block Warriors were able to overpower their banana usage on the map. Now look, O-Block Warriors is a great team, and people like Fixies and Altoid are great top tier players. However, O-Block Warriors lost the first 2 games due to a mixture of A-Gang being a great team, and 2 specific players being a nuisance. The nuisances in question being some bisexual skateboard player who sounds like SpongeBob and some range flex showing that he has it in him. Oscar and Keeter, do yo thing again.
Hopefully no victims. We got 4 kills.
Oh!
Okay.
Pixies
That
does
was
get
unfortunate.
crushed by the... crushed to the...
Okay, well, Orbin's in danger here, as he's going to be in the respawn while his team is trying to get on point for the OT. Are they even going to be able to trigger it? There's only 2 here.
Overtime. No, it's an instant win for A-Gang. No OT.
They couldn't catch the respawn enough in enough time. So there were only 2 on the point, and they could not trigger OT.
If you can look me dead in my eyes and tell me Skateboard's a fair character, genuinely lower your tone in front of me, I'm going to assume your section from the rest of the class.
12 skate nerfs because of this round. I'm going right to Aiden with this shit.
Just under 25.
Oh yeah, we'll be sure to get through them Skateboard nerfs in 2026, guys. It's chill, it's chill. It's not like he's needed one for genuinely since his conception.
Never.
I'm not mad at nobody except from the character Skateboard, and that's it. I'm not mad at nobody.
No,
I thought it was a beautiful match.
Hate the character, not the player. That's true.
Yeah. No.
Yes.
Any skateboard player is just carried by their character. That's all I'm saying.
I could dunk on Oscar anyway, it's fine. I don't care.
What?
And now the stage was finally set for one of the craziest matches on the surface, with A-Gang versus Rat Zone. This truly was the underdog versus the powerhouse. And then, a similarity between this and Rival Revolt started to form for me. See, in the last CRC tournament, we had Yuriko versus Nightmare, an underdog clawing their way through and the powerhouse of the tournament. They agreed on a contract to not play Annihilate, and what it ended up with was a 7-game cinema, as both teams traded back and forth until Yuri Coalition pulled out a reverse sweep only to unfortunately fail at the last moment. This losers finals against A-Gang and Rat Zone had many similarities to it though. It was also a best of 7, had a contract to not use Banana, which kind of indirectly buffed Rat Zone, and it was an underdog versus a powerhouse. And a shocking turn of events, A-Gang actually had their 5 to 6 main roster members showing up, which is a first for the team as Austin is still sick, while Rat Zone also had their main 5. Ladies and gentlemen, brace yourself as you will now witness the greatest scrim in fighting history. I would go in depth on this game, but there's so much that happens I can't really cover all of it, so here are a few awesome moments. And by few, I'll probably get sidetracked and start talking about this game for like the next 2k words of this script. God save me. Oh yeah, this practice game is also amazing. Game 1 Iron Cafe was insane as both teams shared a total of 9 unique fighters in this game. Both teams trade point and Myth is forced to play on-point Hyperlaser against a team with one of the best biographs and the best sword of all time. However, A-Gang also has Skateboard and Bandhammer on their side to dive the enemy, and both teams are absolutely trading everyone with kills. Chicken for life. The biograph sub-player for Rat Zone is absolutely on fire, however, as he is farming kills with ult and getting repeated multi-kills and shutdowns. A-Gang doesn't hold back though and starts equalizing the point lead until Rat Zone has yet another bio ult and Rat Zone take an extremely close game 1.
Both teams on point right now, see if he gets to an
Rat Zone does
overtime.
have a point lead, by the way.
Oh, Rat Zone just takes first round.
It's by 5.
Wow.
No OT.
First round goes to Rat Zone.
Game 2 is Maul and A-Gang brings out double busters with Band, Skin, and Med. Rat Zone goes for one of their very normal compositions. Wait, why is Skyjax on Rocket and Myth on Subspace? Rat Zone immediately starts to stagger, and when A-Gang takes the point, the casters just notice the people playing what on A-Gang.
Is Oscar on ban or is Oscar on...
Oscar's in skate. Oscar's in skate.
Oscar's on... Dude, it's so weird because Skyjax can... Like... Their comps is so weird because they all have overlapping characters, so I don't even know who's on who.
Yeah, they have.
for A-Gang.
I mean, A-Gang's got that flex. They've got a lot of stuff.
Serene's gotta be on... Rocket. Yeah, or is that Skyjax? I don't even know anymore.
Sweden's on sub?
What?
He's on sub!
Yo, Serene, why are you playing Cutie Space?
Yo.
But Rat Zone holding on the point after, both subspaces be Myth and Chicken pop their ults on point near the same time. But Chicken fails the trade and gets sucked in by the Noxious Void, cancelling his entire ult. And unfortunately, Iridius on Banhammer doesn't get the ult threshold, which gives so much control back to A-Game before they get swept on and off. There's also moments like this where controllers tries to medkit ult for A-Game to keep their sub ult up, and Banhammer stay alive with a Russian. Rat Zone pops 2 ults to kill Subspace and a Sword ult to absolutely murder Banhammer to nullify the medals. And then A Gang retakes and staggers Rat Zone somehow, with A Gang shutting down a surprise summon from Rat Zone, which pretty much seals the game close, 1-1 on score. Game 3 Bowling Alley because Rat Zone hates this map. Normal comps except A Gang brings out the Vine Staff once more, and it was wild. A Gang had the lead for almost the entire game, and Vine Staff became an undying bomb of healing destruction. And even though Chicken and Quack are the dive core of Rat Zone, they can't seem to lock her up. So from the minute 50 mark to 20 seconds, Vine Staff keeps on living and healing A Gang while they hold the point down. Vine eventually goes down, but the damage has already been done, as A Gang ult rushed a point to completely steal it and take the game in an insane showing. Also, this is the third game in a row with 0 overtimes happening. Game 4, Fractured Space. And both teams pull out their Hyper Lizard mains. Oh, and Chicken dies trying to reach one of the entrances. This game does show the difference in playstyles though. Myth and Boys on Ice play 2 different hypers here. Myth plays a more on-point frontline hyper laser, while Boys plays an off-point hyper for safety. Boys is then forced to be more on point, especially with ults though, because of point differences.
Agreeing, and Panama jumping in without that team.
Dude, the stupid bell, I always think the sword round is about to happen because of that.
Dude. Oh, but medal, they got 2 for medal coming in.
Surviving their Banhammer.
Hyper gets 1.
Hyper gets Green Dementia.
There's two Hyper ults going off.
Wait, what? There's 2?
Oh, Serene got Boys. They traded. No, they
Serene
traded.
got 2. Serena's got his 2 with Hyper ult.
A Gang keeps stifling Rat Zone's ult with their own ult and start to break away in points as Buggy on Ban gets great value. Then Rat Zone start popping ults like crazy and swiping off A Gang. A Gang rushes back on after hitting Ban with a Hyper ult. Myth misses Boys barely, and somehow Iridius on Banhammer misses an ult because Sword did too much damage. OT happens and whiffs are happening as A Gang uses metal for their lives as Buggy just hits crazy ban ults when it mattered most. A Gang barely take the game, 1-3 and at match point. Game 5 Bread Factory. If it was a last resort or their actual strategy, Rat Zone puts B, their slingshot, onto her upper main, Vine Staff, with everyone else going their usual characters. This seemed horrible because A Gang has Double Dive and Scythe, but it was kinda working? Both teams are fighting their asses off with point control trying to find ways to free space with ults. Also for some reason, B dies to the buggiest Crusher kill I ever seen, like what even happened here is beyond anything but hitbox jank. This is the first time Crusher impacted something in this video, and because of this, A Gang hits a crazy ban ult and retakes. Both teams fight back, but then Quack, the best sword player of all time, hits a crazy sword ult and starts brawling A Gang with sword and starts going mental on them to retake. Last minute approaches and all hell breaks loose with ults, with Rat Zone winning the ult war in the end, and then Rat Zone started holding down and breaking away. But A Gang wasn't going to give up. And now, let me draw a comparison for you. Game 5 in Yuriko vs Nightmare was Dodge While Conquer and has one of the most chaotic overtimes you'll ever see in a game. In Game 5 of Rat Zone vs A Gang, with all the similarities I said before this game started, here's one of the most chaotic overtimes you'll ever see in a game. Let it roll.
Take this. They actually mind. A lot of A Gang is going down. This needs to point.
They take it, I think. Oh no, there is an OT. There is an OT.
Panama's ult from A Gang. The med kill from him as well.
Banhammer has a lot of vulnerability though.
Misses ult, but the triple revive.
Banhammer uses it like right before he died. He goes
the
to Verdict.
The Skate will come in with the triple stun from Skate.
There's just so many off.
The Panama ult. He does not get it off, unfortunately.
A Gang takes it somehow.
A Gang on. Oh my god.
A Gang's got point. Bio's in the bonus spot again. Bio went through the wall.
Bio ult coming in. Yeah, I just saw that. What the hell?
The overdrive.
Disciples.
He's already. He goes to start a serenade.
A Gang is on point. Razon is still
so low. So is so low.
2.
They get the trade.
3, 2, 1.
2, 1.
For Panama ult. For Panama ult. Save the game. The naked ult. Oh my god, the Panama ult. Who of Razon is there?
Barely missed it. Space does go down here to the coffin.
A Gang is on point. The sword ult come in.
Here comes the axe Clark.
The Panama ult.
Misses. Here comes the verdict on the tank.
The side ult. Oh my god, what is happening? Razon is on point. Razon. Bro.
Oh my god. What? What happened?
I cannot even begin to explain everything in this overtime, but Rat Zone barely closes it out in the end, and even though the scoreboard looks absolutely hideous, they got the win, 2-3 in favor of A-Gang. Game 6 Rocket Arena, a map Rat Zone picks to make Vinestaff a monster, except Rat Zone actually doesn't pull out Vinestaff and instead puts B onto Sling, probably expecting crazy dive. Instead, A-Gang pulls out the Vinestaff with double busters, which is a crazy combo to go with on Rocket Arena, but let's see what happens, I guess. Nothing too crazy happens, just back and forth retakes. Stubble gives A-Gang some leeway to hold point, and then they get smited by Jesus himself. The lack of dive was starting to show as B on Sling was getting away with a lot of stuff as the skate needs to immediately dive to subspace. Unfortunately, Rat Zone misses the ban ult threshold again and pop 3 of their ults only to get a double kill. Oh, and then A-Gang misses the ban ult entirely too. I should also say that the Vine pick was working, but Vine was clearly going off point a lot to try and live, which somewhat hurt A-Gang's point presence a good amount. Into the last few seconds, Rat Zone definitely took the lead, and now A-Gang has to fight back onto the point for this OT. They did force OT, but Rat Zone knew the points were close and had to play together. Even if A-Gang barely denied it, Rat Zone pulled out their ult and then Sling and Ban blast through everyone with Sword and Subults blocking out parts of the point, and Rat Zone equalizes the scores and makes the game insanely tight. 3-3, Game 7, final match. And just like Yuriko vs Nightmare, they ended on a map that does not fit a final game of an important match at all. You thought a legendary game ending on Roblox Mall was funny? Try a legendary game ending on Doomspire of all maps. And at the final Game 7, both teams bring out the Hyper Laser, and both teams run their go-to picks. The winner takes all. And since it's Doomspire, we get awesome plane kills, and the first victim is Skyjax. Goodbye, Skyjax. With plane gone, A-Gang tries to take point control, but Rat Zone is holding a grip on it. Both Hypers are also playing on and off point, which seems about right for an open map and short point rollout like Doomspire. And then the second plane victim is Buggy Gang Clothesline. And even when Rat Zone and A-Gang start trading the point a bit, the plane comes and claims their third victim, Quack. I think Quack tries to lunge Ban to trade him with the plane, but he misses and gets hit by the wing. Oh, and A-Gang gets their Hyper ult shut down. Both teams are brawling and popping ults to try and just keep control as it's just a slugfest from both ends. Unfortunately, the fourth plane, which is the Spireline Jet, does not claim a kill as Quack and Asuka move out of the way in time. Both teams start popping ults. Rat Zone pops a great bio and sword ult, to which A-Gang respond with a single ban ult, and controllers baiting 2 people off the point as Medkit and Asuka melting the Slingshot and Hyper as skate. Then at 50 seconds, both Hypers start hitting their ult on key targets and Chicken needs to stop Myth. Except the fifth plane is rapidly approaching and Chicken gets clipped as the fourth victim, but he wasted Myth's ult shot, so... Last 15 seconds. A-Gang has a 20-point lead, but B and Chicken pull out crazy Sling and bio ults respectively to sweep off A-Gang and force overtime. But when A-Gang runs back in, Hyper Laser shuts down Medkit, and Iridius on Banhammer completely stops the momentum. Hyper Laser does use his ult to shut down Banhammer at least, but A-Gang needs to fight back for the point as Myth gets shut down after his ult. Say hello to Medkit ult to the rescue! A-Gang still has a big lead and they are holding on for their lives as the numbers tick down. But then Myth gets killed once more, and there's not enough time to win before plane comes in. The sixth plane claims its victims of B on Slingshot and controllers on Medkit. Rat Zone take back control, but A-Gang bomb rush the point together again. And Rat Zone can't go off point for their ults and need to risk it all right then and there. And then Buggy hits the best bio ult shutdown of their lives, and B is forced to sling ult in a very awkward spot. And then, that makes the crazy Game 7 OT.
Kill bio.
Nice. It's fine. We have
It's ulting.
I broke it.
Do it. No.
Kill.
Oh my god, no.
Bam. No, don't panic.
Ban, get ban. He has ult.
It's okay. I got ban.
You're insane.
Sword.
Just stay on point.
Stay on. Please stay on.
Stay on.
Oh my, there's plane!
It's fine. Bioted.
Got him. I got bio. 0 points.
Come on.
We got this! We got this! A-Gang's on point!
Oh my
This
god,
could be
it's
it.
neck and neck, it's really neck and neck.
A-Gang.
A-Gang wins!
A-Gang wins.
A-Gang goes on to finals and
Oh
fights
my
Prestigious.
god.
A-Gang did the impossible, beating Rat Zone in a close 4-3 victory. This marks the first time where the Grand Finals isn't Rat Zone versus Nightmare, let alone Rat Zone being in the Grand Finals. A-Gang absolutely fired up, and Rat Zone pull on an amazing fight, being down 1-3. And even when Banana's taken away, A-Gang prove they don't even need the crutch of Banana to win against them. They broke the curse of the underdogs, have made their way to an unexpected Grand Finals. And now, they had to fight the final team on this journey, Prestigious Pros. Grand Finals worked a bit differently this time around. It was a best of 7, but if the loser bracket team wins the best of 7, the team immediately does a best of 5 right after to decide the true winner. So not only does A-Gang need to win a best of 7, they also need to win a best of 5 against the team who was running the crazy meta comp and lost 0-3 against. But this is the best of 7, and they have the full main roster once more. Second place is already insane as it is, but it's time to go full steam ahead. Also, Aiden, as always for the Grand Finals, actually advertises it in the official server, so people start flocking in. And on the practice game of Iron Cafe, the main plot is Asuka and Top Hat 1v1 behind the buildings, so it was entertaining. But now, the real games start. A-Gang picks Teapot Observatory as game 1, a map that Prestigious Pros doesn't like to play all that much. A-Gang pulls out their usual comp, but going Vine and Sub as supports, while Prestigious Pros runs their traditional picks with a Sub instead of Bio or Hyper. And then Prestigious Pros deboard Asuka with Subspace, and they show why Banana is the man of the fighting force now. First point is a complete wipe, but it doesn't matter too much. Second point does go better, and then PP runs with a Boombox Sub ban ult combo to take it back. And for repeated retakes and PP playing more off point, A-Gang is able to equalize the score, still being down at 75-56. But Teapots is the map where the third point always matters no matter what. Unfortunately, point cap kinda screws over Prestigious Pros a lot, as A-Gang slowly crept up with points before breaking the cap. PP do fight back, but A-Gang is simply having better execution. Prestigious Pros do cause overtime, but then Top Hat misses the threshold for ban ult. But despite that, Prestigious Pros is still pulling a comeback, thanks to great gameplay and the Subskate ult combo allowing Prestigious Pros to just still be in this to win. But thanks to Scythe Gun ult grouping up Prestigious Pros and Ban hitting another double with ult, A-Gang takes Teapots as their first win. 0-1 A-Gang's favor. Now prepare for one of the games of all time. Prestigious Pros does game 2 as Roblox Laundromat, which is locked to Annihilate. And my god, these comps are sickening. Prestigious Pros surprisingly doesn't go Banana in favor of Toasted, the Tana player, going Rocket to read the Banana. A-Gang gets read by Toasted, but for some reason they are deciding to run Vine Staff with Sling and Skateboard. I don't even know why they are running Banana Vine with this on Annie, but it's the thought that counts. So I think A-Gang was trying to play defensively on Laundromat, and I need to be honest, this plan was horrible. And then they started to play aggressive, which gotten a bit worse. They were keeping up, but always behind Prestigious Pros. And because of one final rush in and A-Gang relying on their defense, they just get plowed through and PP takes the round. Game 3 is another expected pick with Doomspire, which is historically a bad Prestigious Pros map due to their characters. But don't worry, Banana is Banana and it became the universal language for both teams. And in 45 seconds, Scythe gets ult ready somehow. Thank you, Myth, for this dumb clip. The second plane, however, shows that these planes are out for blood, as the second plane hit claims 3 casualties in Myth, controllers, and Bendy. And then after some more crazy shenanigans, Asuka shows he can play Banhammer as well as a skateboard with a triple kill from ult. Prestigious Pros does retake a small lead, and then a third plane comes in and claims deaths on the 2 A-Gang tanks, Buggy and Asuka. And at 55 seconds, here is Toasted catching Myth doing a gun ult for literally zero reason, but it was hype as hell. Prestigious Pros fires off their bio and skate ults for a full point sweep, but then Skyjacks on skateboard makes a great move, and ults all of them while controllers on rocket ults, and Asuka on ban pops ult, which leads to Prestigious Pros losing 3 of their ults and getting pwned. And then near the end, the tank starts spamming ults near the wall on Doomspire, and it's an absolute bloodbath. And Prestigious Pros hold on to the point to force OT, and then another plane has hit the runway. This adds on 3 more casualties for Toasted, Grim, and Epic all being clipped by the plane. But thanks to Boombox ult, Bio ult, Skate ult hitting after being hit by Tana ult, Prestigious Pros is able to retake point, but they have a bit of a point deficit due to point control. A Gang regroup onto point and miss ban ult threshold, but then Toasted on Tana flicks his ult to hit Scythe going for a gun ult again, but more people are still alive on point, and ban ult isn't enough. A Gang barely take Doomspire and a close finish, 1-2. And then map 4 is Bowling Alley, and you guess it, it's the same comms with Grim going subspace instead of bio. It is also important to note that Bendy's Wi-Fi was so bad that he had to sub out because of it. So Boys, who was a part of Star Splitters, was subbed in as a skateboard player. Anyways, 22-second pwned on A Gang.
I think it's the same comp from Doomspire for A Gang.
I'm pretty sure both
Prestige Pros
teams
do
have
got the
same
subspace.
comp. Oh yeah, they do have the subspace. Yeah,
Did Prestige Pros have subspace?
I don't know actually.
I don't think they did.
It's fight some point, but Hope comes up with Katana from A Gang, getting him very low. He's somehow still alive. Top of a oh my god!
Oh my god!
But Jesus Christ!
Prestigious Pros take a huge lead, but then A Gang fires back, Scythe ulting the sub, and then tanks fighting on point while the most confusing sequence of ults happen back to back. But it results in A Gang being thrown off the point. At about 45 seconds though, they do group up and rush in as Oscar gets a kill on Toasted Tana with ult, but the ults from Prestigious Pros are simply too much. However, A Gang does barely retake the force OT and then actually start to ult stack with each other to then shut down PP's attempts of breaking back in. And hell, they even shut down Grim's sub ult as well. But any small retake gave PP the advantage.
I think they have advantage.
They do!
5 seconds, the crowd
unfortunately
whips! 4 seconds!
Skate is very low!
Prestigious Pros retake,
Are they on
2 seconds
point?
clock, they take it back!
And they do take the 4th round.
Man, it is back and forth, huh?
And they won. The score is now 2-2. Now, you are noticing a pattern where each team is taking each other's map picks and such. So, Game 5 is now Roblox Mall, A Gang's pick. But unfortunately, Mall doesn't play out like they thought it would. A Gang go for a normal comp involving Vine and sub, while Prestigious Pros try to counterpick Banana for some reason by going double Buster again. But they fail to counterpick this time. It's odd though, because controllers usually goes medkit sometimes, but on this Grim she has only gone Vine Staff or Rocket. I wonder if this will go out well. But the picks did not go well for A Gang. Throughout the first 3 minutes or so, Prestigious Pros holds an iron fist to the point as they stay on it and break cap themselves. A Gang shown some glimpses of fight, but they were being separated and staggered at different spawns. It took a ban and Scythe Gunnel to break onto point to close the gap, but PP retakes once more. A Gang does retake near the end to then force OT, but Prestigious Pros had such a big lead that they can afford to wait so they could rush in. Except here's Toasted going full Rambo mode and getting a quad with some random dive in.
Point disadvantage!
They could bring this back. They're all very low. Oh my god, Toasted Red is going in with the triple! Toasted with the quad!
They were ready for it!
Oh my god! He was waiting!
And I thought this would be bad for Prestigious Pros because they used their subspace ult early, but they just didn't care at all. Toasted just went in and just dismantled their defense.
Plus, Prestigious Pros take the map from A Gang, making the scores 3-2. Match point for PP. On SFOF Game 6, Prestigious Pros go for the counter pick again, and it works, as A Gang runs Banana Hyper on this map, but finally putting controllers on Medkit. What's also odd is Grim going sub instead of Hyper, probably to read Banana, I assume? Anyways, here is Buggy doing a void kill on Top Hat.
Nothing at all, because of that damage. So we'll see.
Oh my, did he get...
Oh,
did he go for a void kill?
And because of the comp Prestigious Pros ran, the only people who could dive the Hyper is Skateboard, because Boombox needs to help out on point, especially with the medkit, and Boys on Skateboard is the only way they can lock Hyper at any point. Myth knows how to fight Skateboards though, so Boys fails, and Myth gets to be scot-free and keep shooting. But since Prestigious Pros went for the double Buster counter pick, they can still win this game with pressure on the tanks. Myth does get Hyper ult and hits Top Hat with it, starting to play frontline with his ult. However, He misses the second hyper ult because of Tana's grapple messing up his aim a bit. But that mess up gives Prestigious Pros the reins to thrive on point as Top Hat lives and gets a great double ban ult kill. A-Gang does retake, and still, no one can check the hyper laser. But that's not a worry when you are in the lead at point cap. Myth rushes to the front again to hit a hyper ult, but just misses his shot as his team is now down in points. Point cap does break, but A-Gang is holding on against Prestigious Pros with skate ults flying out everywhere. But then disaster strikes. Prestigious Pros gets a small but substantial lead that can deny OT from A-Gang, and Top Hat just hit a big ban ult while everyone else is around half health, and Epic was able to use Boombox ult. So once he recast, Top Hat can decimate A-Gang off the point, but Myth has his hyper ult ready just in time, and he needs to hit this shot. If he misses Top Hat, the game is over for PP, and A-Gang would lose 4-2, and mark every grand finals being at 4-2. If Myth hits the shot though, then they are still able to win this. This is the shot that counts. He hits it. And even if he missed the second shot, Medkit ult rejuvenates A-Gang, and the point presence of Banana with frontline hyper is just way too much for Prestigious Pros.
Sword?
I think it is. A-Gang might take this.
With the advantage here. Only Top Hat's here.
He's free.
And out of nowhere, A-Gang equalized the scores 3-3. If A-Gang wins this, they gotta do a best of 5. But if PP wins this, they take the tournament. It all comes down to this. Game 7, Bogio Skate Park. A map both teams aren't really well versed in, especially A-Gang. Prestigious Pros runs their tried and true Banana Boom Skate sub combo that they love to run. But as for A-Gang's comp, A-Gang made a big mistake. They opt to go ban sub Scythe Skate and put controllers on Vine Staff. I don't think controllers is bad at Vine at all, and she is great on both healers. But playing Vine Staff on Skate Park over Medkit is almost always the worst option by far, as losing one team fight basically makes you useless. And against a team like Prestigious Pros that loves to hard rush and sometimes snowball, this pick is almost doomed. And unfortunately, A-Gang get punished hard for this. It takes a full minute for A-Gang to actually get a point on the board due to the staggering. And once they did get on point, Tana ults and skate ults shove A-Gang right off quickly, and it's back to staggering. It would take the last 15 seconds for A-Gang to finally get on the point, but by that time, they are now down by 56 points against Prestigious Pros, and even the best teams can't pull that off with the comp they have. But in OT, Buggy hits a nasty ban ult on 3 of them, to buy A-Gang some more time if needed along with Asuka's skate ult. But with such a deficit and less ults, it's simply not enough.
There's no way A-Gang can pull this.
The Lotus is here.
Katana unfortunately whiffs.
Execution in that.
Katana getting 2 people in the zone.
Flex against 2.
Two.
Double kill.
1.
2 seconds on the clock. 1.
2.
3 seconds.
What's happening?
Prestigious Pros.
Prestigious Pros takes. Oh my god. BP wins.
Your winners of Crossroads Central Sealious Series have been chosen.
Prestigious Pros.
Rightfully so.
Fall 3
Prestigious Pros
victory.
takes home.
And as such, Prestigious Pros takes the entire tournament in a 4-3 closer, denying A-Gang the impossible comeback and finally winning a CRC tournament. But while this is a great accomplishment in itself, this doesn't take away the accomplishment A-Gang has done. A-Gang went through sub-hell, a big team overhaul, and a lot of ups and downs in their tournament games, fighting for their life until they somehow locked in out of nowhere and kept the pace up for the whole tournament. They might be an inconsistent team at times and definitely had a rocky road to just the Swiss stages, but they showed that they could be a major team to win things in their path. There might not be a crazy run like this ever, and this run has settled itself. as the best fighting tournament run I have ever seen in a tournament. Thanks for watching.